Okay, some quick updates on where we are with the portal, and then I want to talk about what I'm calling portal collective shenanigans. And my example is University of Michigan. But first, a couple quick updates. First, I've shared with you that there's been no movement in the portal over the last couple days. The numbers stay the same. 50% have been picked up, 50% remain available, and at this point, it is unlikely they will get picked up because school has started, and we are about the end at the late enrollment period. So those guys are going to Mama's couch. Now, let's talk about the last batch that got picked up. So the last commits were, as far as I can tell, on the 11th of January, and there were 24 that got picked up that day, committed that day. Interestingly, of the 24, 10 went to Georgia State. So my thinking is Georgia State has some sort of strategy around that. Okay, 10 of the 24. 2 went to Miami. 2 went to Liberty. 3 went to West Virginia. And then 1 went to UNC, 1 to Stephen Austin, 1 to Mississippi State, 1 to Charlotte, 1 to Tulane, 1 to South Carolina, and 1 to Michigan. So the last 11, the last 24, and that's where they went. Last date, January 11th. Okay, now let's talk about some shenanigans, particularly at the quarterback position. So, backstory. So last year, in March 2023, Jaden Davis committed to Michigan. He was the number 5 QB coming out of that class in 2023. Okay. He was an early enrollee, so he enrolled in December 23. And he served as the backup this past year. Now, Michigan went through several QBs last year. They went through Alex Orji, who has entered the portal and is currently available. Mama's couch. Davis Warren, who also played a couple games starting. He is staying at Michigan. And they also started Jack Tuttle, who was in his 7th year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Okay. Jack has retired from the sport of football because he received his 5th concussion last year. Now, Jaden Davis started 1 game and apparently took 1 snap. It was a very successful snap. I think it was 20 yards and the running back made a touchdown. But that was his only action last year. Okay. Number 5 QB coming out of high school. Okay, so this year, Michigan decides to pursue Bryce Underwood. Bryce, the number 1 guy in this year's class. Not the number 1 QB, the number 1 guy. Okay, so Bryce had committed to LSU in January. He flipped to Michigan in November, and he signed with Michigan in December. Okay, I do not know whether Bryce is at Michigan now or not. I don't know. Now, what is not in dispute is that they offered Bryce in total compensation somewhere between $10 and $12 million over 4 years. And this is not dispute. The number, what's in dispute is whether it's 10, 11, or 12, but the fact that it's at least 10 is clear. Nobody's arguing with that. So how did they do that? Bryce was heading to LSU. So Coach Moore decided, full court press, he wants Bryce. So they enlist Tom Brady and Larry Ellison to go after Bryce Underwood. Okay? Now, everyone knows who Tom Brady is. Larry Ellison, if you don't recall, is the former CEO for Oracle, one of the top 5 richest people in the world. So Larry and his wife, whose name is Noni, I believe, put up the check, put up the cash, okay, for Bryce Underwood. This has also been reported, not reasonably in dispute. Okay. So, we got Jaden Davis, who was the number 5 QB last year. They've now paid 10 to 12 million for Bryce Underwood, and they snagged a guy out of the portal, Mike Keene from Fresno State. So all the chatter is about what's Jaden going to do. Okay, Jaden has said very publicly, I'm not afraid to compete. Come on. Okay. But he's up against a dude that's getting paid $10 to $12 million by Larry Ellison. So what do we think is going to happen with that starting QB slot? Are we going to let the best man win in the competition? Because at this point, they've got Jaden, Bryce, Mikey, and Davis Warren. All 4 of those guys competing for the top slot. Only one of them is getting paid $10 million. So now, is Sharon Moore about to be at the behest of Larry Ellison? Because Larry wrote a check for $10 million for his boy Bryce Underwood to start? Did we sell our souls to the devil, Michigan? We'll see. Maybe Bryce is the best guy and it works out well. But what if Bryce is not the best guy? Are we going to let him sit for $10 million? Shenanigans, y'all. Let me know what you think. I'm dying to know what you think.